Oh, this is my favorite subject to talk about constantly in different ways. And have you heard that there are toxins in your body? So I'm going to try to make your life a lot less expensive, a lot simpler, and, well, more effective. Have you heard the term plasma exchange? Now, maybe it's just who I get on my feed on social media. But I saw some posts by Gary the actuary and other social influencers that are talking about doing plasma exchange. And well, I don't want people to hurt themselves or waste their money and waste their time. And well, yeah, who doesn't want to waste their money, waste their time, and actually cause more issues for themselves? So let's talk about this plasma exchange conversation because, well, you have to understand first that blood is a transportation medium. So if you understand that the human body is loaded with different environmental toxins. Now, I'm not an actuary, I'm not a human biologist, but going off of the way that people talk about stuff, I am a humanitarian. I got a degree in humanities from Washington State University. But I have spent 45 years studying integrative health in humans and animals, and the focus of my last 20 years has been environmental toxicology and understanding that mercury and other heavy metals are the underlying cause of all of chronic degenerative disease states, because that was published by the World Health Organization in 1976. But I've also studied and worked with mechanisms to actually passively and systemically use nature to remove these environmental toxins. So I got a little bit of a basis to work on here. So initially, prior to about 20 years ago, the approach to kind of cleaning the blood and cleaning the body was a process of chelation therapy. Chelation meaning to claw and to grab. And they used substances like EDTA, DMPS, and DMSA. And then time showed that those things are actually ineffective, can be toxic, and actually have some issues of diminishing returns and the binding and removal of actual essential metals while you're trying to remove toxic metals. So that's kind of gone away by the wayside. And because of what we've done, and I say myself and my astute, outstanding wife, Dr. Christina Rahm, and you should look her up at Dr. Christina Rahm. You can go on Gary the Actuary's podcast and actually look up Dr. Christina Rahm. It'll give you some insight into who you really should be using as a reference. But 20 years ago, I actually kind of figured out that nature had already created the mechanism to clean up the body, because nature created the mechanism to clean up the planet when the planet was being terraformed. And it's this class of minerals, crystals, and clays that have these unique abilities to grab onto and bind environmental toxins. And there's one specifically that is the most valuable, called clinoptilolite. The problem in that being is most people that have been playing with this have actually destroyed the most valuable piece to that substance, which is the bioavailable silica. Now, so you hear people talking about zeolites and you hear people talk about clinoptilolite. But the key in this is understanding how Clean Slate falls into this, that this is the key solution in that, because what Christina's figured out how to do is through some quantum physics, some bioscience engineering, some polarization, some fracking, is how to fracture and break apart and clean out this crystal, but without destroying the underlying key bioavailable silica. But she also programs it and loads it with trace minerals from sea salt. Why? Because the planet's made of salt water and we are made of salt water, and we are just programmed with that. The planet is made up of 70% water, 17% silica. The human body is made up of 70% water, 17% silica. So we are made from where we come from. So you need to use what you come from to clean up what's been used to clean up the environment, to clean up your environment. This is the basis. So we fast forward a little bit. Now you have people talking about, oh, you can do plasma exchange. So you're telling me you're going to charge me $1,000 to get plugged into a machine that's going to take my blood and filter it out and then run it back in. And in order to be effective at doing this, this is not a one-time thing, that you need to do this 8 to 10 times. So that means you're going to spend $8,000 to $10,000 to do this process. And why do you need to do it 8 to 10 times? Because blood is a transportation medium. So if you take your blood and you basically recirculate it, you clean it a little bit and put it back in, your body is going to pull other things out of sequestration back into your bloodstream because it's going to create balance. But here's what's freaking nuts about this. Blood's a transportation medium. So as you're pulling all these metals and environmental toxins out of different areas of sequestration and storage in your body, it's going to go into your bloodstream because you're creating this concentration disimbalance in your bloodstream. That those toxins that are pulled from other areas into your bloodstream are then going to be distributed into different areas of your body, which is going to create a different type of dysbiosis in your system. That might not be positive. But if you do this the way that they're talking about doing it now, because everybody's pretty much on a money grab, it's going to cost you $8,000 to $10,000, maybe up to $20,000 to do this series. And the only time you're going to get a benefit is when you're in the chair doing it. So that means for a couple hours, you're going to have the benefit of doing this process, and then you're going to go back your business, and you're going to be exposed to everything else in the environment again. Your body's becoming different toxic because you did filter some stuff out, but then you're exposed to the environment. Other things are being pulled out of sequestration, and you're doing jack shit about it. Doesn't seem like a good idea. But if I was the one selling it to you, the margins on this are insane. So if I'm going to make money, I'm going to tell you to do this because I might get some commission on it. I'm going to tell you to not do it. Because if we look at a comparison of like what Clean Slate costs, about $74, I can be as effective, actually, I will argue more effective, doing that a couple times a day, allowing my body to turn back on. So this solution is working like little scavengers, little green garbage trucks to grab onto all these toxins, piss them out, clean up your liver, clean up your kidneys, decalcify your pineal gland, work to clean up your gut, allow your gut to then connect more effectively through your vagus nerve, to your heart, to your pineal gland, to your brain, to start having the signaling pathways work better. And this is where your IL-2, IL-4, and P450 pathways through your liver all start opening up as proper communication pathways, so your body starts to turn back on and work the way it is intended. And if you do this, and say you only spend $70, $80 a month, that means over a year, you're going to spend maybe $1,000, which is the expense of one treatment. But if you really wanted to push it and you understood the benefits of bioavailable silica and cleaning up and what you would do with chelation therapy, you might just take an entire bottle or split that up a little bit and do that on occasion so you can be even more effective in grabbing onto stuff and removing it. Now, and it would be even more amazing that if it's already published clinical literature and patents filed for the reversal of a lot of the health issues that are caused by the exposure to these heavy metals and environmental toxins that everyone is talking about. Now, plasma exchange really doesn't have any data on it. This does. Kind of like the combination of this along with Root 0N has actually had a patent applied for it in September for the reversal of autism. And now you might have heard of Suramin. People have talked about Suramin, that it's a pharmaceutical done about 30, 40 years ago from an extract, a synthesized extract of pine needles. Well, what if you were able to have a nanobiotechnologist that actually used pine bark extract, which even has a higher concentration of proanthocyanidins, to boost endogenous dopamine and serotonin naturally in a banned substance-free matter? You might see better outcomes. So instead of buying the hype on social media, and listening to pundits that actually aren't experts in their space, but use terms and do a good job of talking on social media. Take the time to look at what's being talked about, do your research to find the real pathways to do things well, so you don't fall victim to people that are just talking for a buck.